As long as you understand the Zeigarnik Effect, no one will be able to leave you. The second attraction after a breakup often doesn't come from chasing. It happens because a psychological effect gets restarted. Seeing this content means your connection hasn't completely ended. As long as you dare to type smooth and successful, everything you do lately will go smoothly. When someone has made up their mind to leave you, no amount of holding on actions will really work. Begging, apologizing, making promises, or explaining over and over how much you love them. In the other person's eyes, all of that may just look like you're trying to pull them back into the old relationship. Today, I want to use one psychological effect to clearly explain why some people, after separating, still keep thinking of you even when they say out loud that they've moved on. This effect is called the Zeigarnik Effect. Simply put, people tend to remember unfinished things, or things that never got a complete ending, much more deeply than things that have already ended. That's why you'll notice that what really makes someone unable to let go of a relationship isn't necessarily how deep the love still is, but the fact that this relationship never got a real answer in their heart. A lot of people, after breaking up, immediately try hard to prove themselves. They tell the other person how good things used to be, remind them of everything you went through together, and keep emphasizing how much they've changed, hoping the other person will see their value again. But here's the problem. The more urgently you try to make them accept you again, the more defensive they become. Because in their mind, every time you get close, it feels like you're pushing them back into that relationship that exhausted them. So true secondary attraction never comes from constant explaining. It comes from letting the relationship temporarily stop the old negative cycle, so that the other person's psychological state has a chance to change. First, you need to understand this. When someone leaves coldly, it's usually not because they never loved you. It's because the disappointment, pressure, and exhaustion that built up in the relationship have already exceeded the happiness and satisfaction they can feel right now. When you first got together, their mind was full of novelty, expectation, and beautiful experiences. So many of your flaws might not have bothered them at all. But as time went on, the unresolved problems kept repeating. Arguments, misunderstandings, lack of security, emotional pressure. All of it piled up little by little. Once negative feelings took over, they started reinterpreting everything that happened between you. What used to feel like care now feels like control. What used to feel like being valued now feels like pressure. What used to feel like clinginess out of love now feels like having no space. That's why they can seem so heartless after the breakup. At that stage, their brain is more focused on the reasons that make them want to leave. If you try to tell them, "We were so happy before," or "We went through so many beautiful things," those words can hardly reach their heart. Their attention is still stuck on the painful feelings. The more you try to prove how good the past was, the easier it is for them to remember the conflicts again. So the first thing you must do is stop this confrontation. What you need to do is not immediately make them remember your good points. It's to let this relationship truly stop. Because the most important part of the Zeigarnik Effect is that unfinished things keep occupying a person's mental space. When you keep chasing them with explanations, keep trying to change the ending, you are actually helping them close the psychological loop of this relationship. Every time they reject you, they become more certain of their decision to leave. Every time you explain, they become more convinced of why they left. But when you truly stop, no more constant proving, no more repeated explanations, no more forcing them for answers. This relationship, for the first time, leaves a psychological space that was never fully processed. They will slowly start facing their real feelings. At first, they might genuinely feel relieved, because finally no one is demanding a response from them, and no one is arguing with them. But as time passes and life settles back into calm, they will start running into moments they never noticed before, like coming home, alone at night and suddenly remembering that someone used to wait for them, encountering something and instinctively wanting to tell you, only to realize that familiar person is no longer in the chat window, seeing a familiar place and having a memory flash through their mind. Not because they're deliberately thinking of you, but because life itself keeps triggering the memories. People are strange. When a relationship is right there every day, many details don't get carefully remembered. But when someone suddenly exits your life, the things that used to feel ordinary get seen again. This is when the Zeigarnik Effect may start to work. Because the relationship didn't end through arguments and pulling. It left some unfinished words, some unfinished paths, and some emotions that were never fully digested. Their brain will automatically start replaying past fragments. The good things that were once buried under negative emotions may slowly surface again. You'll notice that the flaws they once found unbearable may not feel as serious after distance and lower emotions. What used to feel like you being too clingy may later turn into missing the feeling of someone caring about them. What used to feel like your messages being pressure may later feel like something is missing once the phone goes quiet. This doesn't mean they will definitely come back. It means a person's perception can indeed be re-evaluated as time, distance, and emotions change. At this point, what secondary attraction really needs is not you chasing, but giving them the chance to re-recognize you. A lot of people misunderstand this. They think secondary attraction means suddenly becoming prettier, suddenly becoming more successful, or posting a lot of updates so the other person sees how well you're doing. Those are only surface changes. What really matters is whether you've stepped out of the old relationship pattern. The old you probably put all your attention on the other person. Whether they replied decided your mood. What they said decided your sense of security. Their attitude decided whether your day was good or bad. Everything you did revolved around one core: how to keep them from leaving. But now it's different. You start putting your attention back on your own life. You rebuild your own rhythm. You no longer prove your worth through the other person's responses. When a person's state truly changes, the feeling they give others also changes. Before, when they saw you, they thought of pressure, arguments, and pulling. Later, when they see you again, they notice you didn't keep chasing, didn't keep demanding, and didn't use the past to hold them hostage. Instead, you've become stable, calm, and have your own life. Only then can new perceptions form. True secondary attraction isn't about making the other person regret. It's about letting them discover that the you they see after leaving is no longer the person who only revolved around the relationship. There's one more very critical point. You cannot treat your change as a performance. A lot of people say, "I'm going to improve myself." But everything they do is still watching whether the other person notices. They post something and first wonder if the ex will like it. They change their status and first wonder if the ex will regret. They even meet a new friend and the first thought is still wanting the ex to know. That kind of change is still revolving around the other person. It looks like growth on the surface, but the emotional control is still in their hands. Real change is slowly accepting that this relationship has already changed. You no longer put all your hope on the other person. You can miss them, feel regret, and feel reluctant to let go. But you can still live your own life. When you no longer need a result to prove the meaning of this relationship, your state will truly loosen. At this stage, you'll realize that secondary attraction isn't a technique to make the other person fall in love with you again. It's a process that allows both of you to re-recognize each other. They need to re-recognize the current you. You also need to re-recognize the current them. Because before the separation, the versions of each other you saw were often full of emotions and bias. Only when the emotions truly settle can two people look at the past from a more objective angle. That's exactly why I never recommend desperately proving yourself right after the breakup. At that time, the other person's negative feelings are still at their peak. The more you say, the harder it is for them to hear. What you really need to do is first stop the wrong actions. Let time slowly settle the emotions. Give both of you space to think again. Then one day, when they start thinking of you on their own, start noticing your changes. Start having new questions about the past, or even start testing the waters with you. That's when their perception may be loosening. But even then, don't jump on them right away. Because the moment you return to the old high demand, high frequency pattern, they may feel the old pressure all over again. A truly healthy new beginning is never going back to the past. It's building a new way of being together. So understand this. The so-called secondary attraction after a breakup has never been a game of manipulating the other person's psychology, and it isn't something that can be achieved with a single technique. To make someone who doesn't want to continue come back, it's more like giving each other a chance to re-recognize one another. You first stop chasing, lower the negative pressure in the relationship, and put your life back onto yourself. When time lets the emotions drop, when distance rearranges the memories, when the other person starts seeing the parts that were once ignored, then this relationship may have a new possibility. If they ultimately don't come back, it doesn't mean your change was meaningless, because what you should truly reclaim isn't just one person, but the version of yourself who has your own life, your own value, and the ability to love yourself well. When you truly reach that point, you'll discover that the initiative was never in whether someone is willing to turn back. It's that you no longer need to rely on one person's choice to decide your own happiness. The most important thing after a breakup isn't finding every possible way to make the other person fall in love with you again. It's walking yourself out of the old emotional cycle, because only when you are no longer controlled by the fear of losing can you truly see this relationship clearly, and only then will you have the chance to judge whether this person is still worth walking back into your life. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe for more relationship psychology content.